Royce Peterson, lead vocals, lead guitar with the band Tragedy. I've been telling you about this band, and they do unbelievable metaled up versions. I guess it started as Bee Gees songs, and it's now evolved into all sorts of 70s and 80s dance and pop, but done in a metal style. We'll play you a little something on what they sound like, and you can learn more and see their videos, which are hysterical, on their website, which is letsmaketragedyhappen.com, which is awesome. Joining us right now is Royce Peterson from Tragedy, live on the air with us on Trunk Nation. Royce, pleasure to talk to you, man. How are you today?
Hey, I am fantastic. It's great being with you.
Yeah, thank you. You're currently out on tour, right?
Yeah, we're doing a U.S. tour with Steel Panther and Crowbot right now, about 2 weeks into our 6-week tour.
It seems to be that would be out with Steel Panther would be a pretty good, I would think, receptive audience to what you guys are doing. How's it been going?
It's been fantastic. You know, we had pretty high expectations for this, but you kind of never know until you get out there and, kind of playing for someone else's audience rather than headlining. But, man, it is just way exceeded our expectations. It's really been the right demo for us. I always say about Tragedy that you have to be smart enough to get it and dumb enough to like it. And this is our target audience right here.
Poor Crowbot there, who I love. Steel Panther has like a thing that they do. You have a thing that you're known for doing. They're just coming up there playing their songs, right? They're trying to.
Yeah. They are tremendous showmen now. We got like Brandon, the front man. We describe him as having a PhD in front man. The guy he's pure rock star. It's been a really fun build, top to bottom.
Real good band, but my point was that they're just, you guys are doing Bee Gees and stuff like that in a certain version. Steel Panther has their thing, which they do, which is a bit parody, and I think their record, Joe, their bass player, or Spider, as he calls himself, just texted me the other day that Steel Panther's album entered #1. I said, that's awesome. He goes, yeah, on the comedy charts. I said, okay, well, a #1's a #1. Take it, man. Wherever you're going to get it from.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, it's true. We have that in common with Steel Panther. We definitely have a comic streak, more so than Crowbot, but it's all
right.
It's all great entertainment,
So the band called Tragedy, a takeoff on the Bee Gees song, and I'm looking at your website. It says all metal tribute to the Bee Gees and beyond. Now, I heard of you guys a long time ago, and I remember hearing you guys play around New York here and there. Remember a couple local promoters mentioned you guys to me. Are you guys New York based?
Yes, we are.
And when did the band start? What's the early history of this?
So we started in 2007, purely as a joke, like an idea on paper. What happened is we got a call from a local promoter. I was producing an album for this band, Children of the Unicorn, at the time. And we got a call. We're on a lunch break, and promoter says, hey, I have this Neil Diamond tribute band doing a weekend of shows at Irving Plaza. And I was thinking it'd be fun to have kind of a goofy tribute band as the support band for the weekend. What could you guys come up with? So we're like, all right, we'll call you back. And we're sitting there eating our salads and drinking our Diet Coke and throwing ideas back and forth. We had this idea that we could do a heavy metal tribute to something distinctly not metal, right? I came up with a metal tribute to Anita Baker. And it was like, that's great. There's like zero crossover there. And we're like, okay, very funny, whatever. And then my buddy, his eyes lit up, and he said, the Bee Gees. And then our brains started racing. We're like, oh, my God, that'd be amazing because it's, you have the disco and the metal. And, disco, which was, it took over the culture and then was completely ostracized, became a punchline. And then hair metal, which completely took over the culture and was completely ostracized. And so we had the idea, and we're like, okay, that's great. and called the promoter back, and we're like, all right, so that's the idea. What do you think? He's like, I love it. One condition, I get to be in the band. And we're like, okay, what do you play? He's like, I don't play anything. And we're like, okay, well, you can be Robin and stand there with your finger in your ear. He's like, I can do that.
Who was the promoter?
That was Jake from Rocks Off.
So that's what I'm getting at, because I know Jake. I haven't talked to him in years, but he was the guy that first told me about you.
Yeah. So then we start working on the music. We're just like, oh, this is a joke or whatever. But then we made a couple of demos. We put them up on MySpace. You could start to sell your music on MySpace, so we put our songs up for $100 each. And and we started playing shows, and like the creative spark hit us, and then we brought it to audiences. It's like, man, this is a joke. It's funny and everything, but this is really inspiring us creatively and inspiring the audiences we're playing for. And here we are all these years later, and still rocking it.
So the tag for the band under the name Tragedy, it says a metal tribute to the Bee Gees and beyond. So initially, did you just tackle Bee Gees songs, and then you realized we're going to go beyond that because you do the Pointer Sisters, I'm So Excited. You do Venus on here as well, which is, I think, is Bananarama. So the idea initially was Bee Gees, but then you started to expand beyond that with more like dance and pop stuff from that era, right?
Yeah. So the first album we did, it was all the Bee Gees disco era hits. And then we were working on the second album, and part of the attraction of the Bee Gees was that they not only had the disco era, but they had an amazing catalog before disco, an amazing catalog of songs that they wrote for other artists. So the second album, we started working on that, and we were playing some of especially the early Bee Gees stuff live, and getting some kind of confused looks from the audience. So we're like, what if we did something non-Bee Gees? I think we tried like Hot Stuff by Donna Summer or something like that. And we're like, maybe that's kind of where we should be. And yeah, so the second album was like a mix of, To Love Somebody, an early Bee Gees song, and then Woman in Love that they did with Barbra Streisand, and then we have Hot Stuff on there too. And then as the band kept on playing and evolving, it kind of had just an identity of its own. And I think by the third album doesn't even have any Bee Gees songs on it, but it's still such a core part of our identity, and it's the creative spark behind everything. So we always put a lot of Bee Gees songs in the set to this day.
So I see as I'm looking through your site a little bit, you've got a lot of quotes from people, including Bruce Dickinson of Iron Maiden, talking about your band. What's been some of the highlights since you've been doing this that you've heard from people in metal bands, or maybe have the artists you've covered, as Barry Gibb or anybody from the Bee Gees heard this? Have you gotten any comments about doing these interpretations of other people's music, either from metal artists or from the artist you're covering?
Well, yeah, the Bee Gees family, almost at the beginning, I think as soon as we put out our first album, they got wind of it, and we started hearing from not the Bee Gees themselves, but their children. And
Steve, did you hear from Steve Gibb?
Yeah.
Because Steve's a metalhead. Steve would, I think Steve would like this. I know Steve; he's a great dude.
Yeah, and we've been talking about doing a collaboration with him. In fact, we were playing in the Miami area last night, but he couldn't make it, unfortunately. We were hoping that he would bring his dad out and see the show, but it didn't happen. But yeah, talked to Steve and Morris's daughter, Samantha. She's a great singer. And Robin's son, Spencer, we've met him, and he's a great musician as well.
Yeah, for people that don't know, I don't know the other folks, but Steve's a friend, and Steve played in with Zach Wilde. I mean, Steve's a full on heavy rock guy, and it's Barry Gibb's son. And Steve also plays when his dad does stuff in the band on guitar. And Steve actually did his own new music recently under his own name, which he sent me not too long ago. So I would think that he would respect this. Now, let me ask you this. I mean, the thing about this is like, okay, so I'm a heavy rock fan, but I appreciate what you're doing because you do cool versions and rocked up versions of these songs. And I take this as, even though you're having fun with it, it seems to also be coming from a place of great respect for the original material, right?
Definitely. There's a lot of comedy and satire, especially in our show, but we always, we have a great deal of respect for the original material, and we don't change lyrics to these songs. We really try to reinvent the song, but also take inspiration from the original intent.
And I think what this shows you is that even if these songs and this genre of music was not your thing initially, being a heavy rock fan like myself, at the end of the day, when you do them and they lend themselves to the style you do them in, putting heavy guitars in there and doing them as metal songs, it does show that at the end of the day, they are still really good, catchy, well-written songs, no matter how you do them.
Well, they were all big hit songs, so they definitely have some credibility like that. But sometimes, most of the time, I would say, we attempt a tragedy version of a song and it doesn't come together because we need to really put our own touch on it, or we don't feel like it's really worth doing or worth listening to. Like I said, these are all hits and they're all really good songs. They've proven to be good songs. But then, we have to do something that's really interesting, really compelling to get us excited and get our audience excited too.
Have you ever, now I know you've heard from some of these artists that appreciated what you did, but have you ever heard from anyone that was pissed off about it? Either the artist or the songwriter?
No. And we used to kind of worry about that, but I think that, we're not doing the Eagles. And we did do a Prince song, but I think it was right around the time he passed. I think it may have been after he passed. So there are very few artists who are just really protective of, the songs they write. I think pretty much anyone would take it in the right spirit. I hope they would. But we've never gotten any negativity from the artists we're covering.
So the latest album is I Am Woman, right?
Yes.
And according to the website, sharing this album with your friends and lovers will make you 500% more desirable. How exactly does that work, Mo Royce?
Well, we had statisticians gather some data. And, I don't know exactly how it works, but, you put tragedy in your ears, you put tragedy in front of your eyes, and it's going to work out. Your life is going to be it's going to be so much richer.
You're on tour now. People want to learn more about the band. Let'sMakeTragedyHappen.com is the website. The new album is I Am Woman. On here, you're covering Flashdance, What a Feeling, Cyndi Lauper's She Bop, La Freak, I Will Survive. Who doesn't know that? Just tons of songs here that everybody knows. Even if you're a hardcore rock fan, you know these songs. You can't avoid them, but you've never heard them like this. Totally rocked up. I think it's a lot of fun, and I think it's good. What you're doing is good. You guys clearly got your chops, and I imagine you have fun digging into all this stuff and figuring it out how to make it a tragedy song.
Yeah, it's really fun. I was never in a cover band or tribute band before this. I was always a songwriter, and I find that the further I've gotten into tragedy, like the more it eats up my creative energy. But it just, we really do express ourselves through all this. And, you know, we're not the first ones to do it in music, you know, like look at Frank Sinatra or Elvis Presley or something. You know, they were interpreting songs, and they're, you know, some of the greatest artists that ever lived.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, if you go out and see Steel Panther, you will see Tragedy opening the show. You guys are in Florida now, right?
Yeah, we played Fort Lauderdale last night, and it's tomorrow in Orlando. And St. Pete the day after that.
All right. Again, everybody just go to the website, letsmaketragedyhappen.com for all your info, links to the videos, the live shows, and you can get a taste and see what these guys sound like and what they're up to. Good to talk to you, man. Continued success out there. Say hello to the guys in the other bands, and if I can catch a date, I hope to see you on the road myself.
Thank you so much. It's an honor speaking with you.
Thanks, Mo Royce. I appreciate that, and safe travels out there.
All right. Cheers, buddy.
Take care, man. Let's play a little bit, Joel, of what do you got? What are we going to let people hear from the band? Let's do a little.
I was
so
going to
hear
cue up something familiar and fun, Staying Alive.
There you go. Give them a little taste of what we're talking about here. Metal versions of Bee Gees and 80s pop acts. Just killer. Check it out.